Hello people, welcome back to the podcast. Now as usual, I forgot to do the intro. The conversation was yesterday and I have a head like a sieve. So I don't actually really remember what we spoke about because I don't even remember what I had for dinner last night. So it was Katie Byers I had on. She's been on the show before, or the podcast before. I hate saying show, I'm not the BBC. Fantastic conversation, it genuinely was. I just remember how I felt after the conversation. Katie's been on before. She's very open about her BPD. She's now got ADHD as well. I think she already had that. I think she told me she already had that, but it was news to me on the show, on the podcast, not for the BBC. So, hope you enjoy this episode. I hope what we spoke about is a good listen. The only thing I'm going to plug is my coaching. I'm up and running. I'm not moving back to Australia. I've now got a place that I can also train my online clients in person. It's just outside this studio. If you're watching, if you're listening, I basically rent a podcast studio and a gym. It's class. It's all going very well. So if you want to apply for coaching, there'll be a link in my bio, or just go on my Instagram or something. You'll find a way. Message me on Instagram saying you want to be coached or something. You'll find your way. Also, rate the podcast on Spotify. I'm trying to improve that as well. And if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Done. Right. Cool. I'll try and make these better. I won't. I absolutely won't. Enjoy the show.
They're very durable, so you can...
Right, okay.
Oh, he's froths. He bought these the other day, so he'll tell you all about it. They're the best.
The full pitch.
Best money you can buy, actually.
Nice cars, nice fucking watches. I'm like, see these mic stands? Right, catches.
Squirrels. Tell me.
No, it's illegal, that's the thing.
What's
that's
illegal?
Why I had them. It's illegal to have them.
It's illegal. Aye, because you get rabies and that. You're sitting fucking like try to cuddle them. And
I
that.
was cuddling.
What happened? Because what I hear about the mental brother as well.
Right. So Tom's.
Realistically, that full conversation should have been recorded.
But it's
that was
also
great.
illegal.
You're not. Do you think the RSPCA listen to my podcast? I think we'll be fine.
Like,
you're allowed to talk about your illegal fucking...
I talked about taking gear, not that last time.
Exactly.
And I'm like, I can't talk about squirrels.
Aye, I think you'll be fine. You can talk about the squirrels.
See if I get lifted for squirrels. I'll just say it was a lie. I made this up for the sake of a podcast. But the nest get knocked down. Tom fun it.
Squirrels live in a nest? The
mum makes a nest.
Right.
And it's like packed with mud and all that. You wouldn't know it was a nest unless you knew a squirrel nest. So like...
Okay.
He knew a squirrel nest, so he brought it to me. Because he was like, there's no mum about, there's no tree.
How's he know there's no mum about? Has he been keeping
because
an eye
there's
on
no trees anymore, and they were there for how long and all that kind of thing. So, see, realistically, he probably should have left it somewhere.
Aye.
But it was in Alloa, so it's yonks away, so he can't take him back now.
Was he cutting the tree down?
It was on a job where the trees were getting cut down, but he didn't cut where the squirrels get knocked down.
Right, and then took them to
He
you?
found them, took them to me. Because he knew I'm a sensitive bastard and I'll raise them.
You tried to raise them for a day?
No, I had them a week.
A week?
A week. They were doing so good.
What's happened to them then?
I think they were not well. Because you get a wee syringe, right, and you have to get them. I had to get them puppy formula because you can't give them cow milk, so I got puppy formula. And I was so good. I was heating it up. I was massaging their wee bellies.
You Google and stuff about how to keep squirrels alive.
I know exactly how to do it now.
Right.
Like this is that I'm leaving coaching. That's what I'm doing. But like SSPC don't take them because grey squirrels are still an invasive species, so they just put them to sleep.
Right.
So I was like, oh no, I can't deal with that. So I kept them.
And you put them to sleep yourself.
No! Parasites are shutting down. I will kill myself.
They won't come for you for trying to keep them alive. They'll come for you for killing them.
No, they won't, because they wanted to kill them. They were buzzing to kill them. They were like, yes, I'll be right out there now. Kill wee babies. I can't deal with it.
How have you been apart from the squirrels? You've been up to fuck all?
I was doing so good, and then I've cried on one.
How? Because when were you on? A year ago? It'll be like a year, wasn't it?
Oh, aye, probably about a year ago.
How have you been? Because honestly,
nothing's been happening in a whole year.
we were just talking about that. I met someone from fucking school I haven't seen in 9 years and asked him how he's been or what he's been up to, and he went, "Fuck all, mate. You know, just the usual, working away." Fuck, in 9 years, fuck. But I seen you were going to be you're trained to be a therapist.
Yeah.
You weren't doing that at the time, were you?
I was, but it was like I was on like a wee break. So like I was in the early stages, and then I took a few months out because we had a big family illness. So I was like, that was all my capacity. So I took a wee bit of time out and then went back, completed that bit of it, and now I'm in my like diploma stages.
Right.
So that's like 2 years of like quite intense practice clinics and
Did
stuff like that.
PTing people and coaching people make you want to do that?
I think see, cause of like the kind of coaching that I do, like you get to a certain stage and you're like, oh, there's so much more here that if I could keep you safe, I would love to unpick that. But like you cut it off as scope of practice, so you keep them safe. So it'd be cool to be able to like do all that with them, because things like your relationship with food, your body image.
I mean, you're quite similar that way. Like the conversations I'm having with people isn't to like when someone asks me, or when someone says, I'm trying to think of just an example, something someone said to me. Just even if it's like, oh, I've got imposter syndrome in the gym, I'm not like, oh, like just keep going or whatever. I'm like, right, tell me about that and like where else do you feel like that? Do you know what I mean? Like I look at things a lot differently.
It's like you're looking at the cause, not the symptom in that sense, without it being clinical.
I'm not even thinking about the gym. I'm like, why are you feeling that way though? I'm like, what else do you feel that way in? Not that I can definitely help them, but more even just because sometimes you just say something to someone and they go, why have I been doing that to myself? And it can just be, obviously some stuff's a lot deeper than that, but sometimes it's just saying one thing someone says to you and go, fuck, why am I even doing that to myself? And they do come out of it. Other things are obviously a bit more, but if I can just even do wee bits of that here or there on top of the training, it's way better, innit? Like you see a way bigger mental transformation 100%. With someone.
And that's like my brain just went off there.
You're off in the squirrels.
I'm back in the squirrels. I'm back at their wee faces. Right, so what were you saying?
Helping people and like having more of
I think that's what like is a pure missed part of your role, that exactly as you said, sometimes it just takes you saying one thing. Like you are a lot of the time just their facilitator, they're the one that's untangling everything, you're just there with them, you're just giving them the space, and all it takes like a wee prompt for you to be like, is it just the gym you feel that? And then they're like, oh actually no, and they are kind of the best person to follow that path, and you're just there to help them.
It's a fine line though, isn't it? Because like I can't go into other things, and I suppose it is going to be, because there's not, what I always think about is like, if someone is really struggling with just loads of different things, there's no one they can really go to. Like they can go for a therapist, but then they can't help them with other stuff. And therapy might arguably be, if you get a good therapist, if you're just struggling with anything but your weights, therapy might actually be the first go-to thing, like above like getting a PT. But most people also won't do that. So like you feel like you kind of are in this position that most people attach everything to their weight, and they might go to a PT first. So you might, it's better you're being armed with being able to deal with that, isn't it?
Sometimes you're the best help available to them, even when it's not your job to do it. And it's exactly as you said, it's that fine line of like staying in your scope of practice, but they're not ready to go to therapy, they're not ready to look quite
even if
as
you
deep,
can
but you
work with them for like 6
there.
months, help them with loads of different stuff, even if it's just like going to the gym 3 times a week and like a bit more positive thinking, and then once they're comfortable with you going, here, see that money you're giving me, maybe now we stop working together, you put that money towards a therapist. Because also nobody has the money, you said you had 2 therapists at one point.
Not at the same time.
Oh, right, okay.
I had my psychologist that I had by playing them off against
That's
each
the way
other.
you said
I will take whoever's advice I prefer.
Stephen said this.
Well, actually, Sean told me I could do that, so...
Sean told me I don't have I don't have anything.
Playing your mum and dad off each other, but Sean said I could do that, so...
But like when because Because also people go to the NHS and they're like, I now tell my clients, and like nothing against anyone that works for the NHS at all, but the thing is fucked. Like it's
100%.
utterly fucked. So like if you go for therapy with NHS, you're getting you might get to speak to some random guy once.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like and he doesn't have the time for you because he works in the NHS and they're fucked. Also, my clients will go to like a physio in the NHS and I'm like, mate, see if you don't have 50 quid to go or like 100 quid to go for physio twice, don't even waste your time like going to the NHS. They're going to give you like anti-inflammatories for whatever it is and then just try to get you out the door because not their fault. It's fucked.
It's so overworked, understaffed, and I got dead lucky, to be honest, with the NHS. My psychologist was through the NHS and my psychiatrist
How long ago was that though?
That was pre-COVID.
So yeah,
but like
you
even
never get that now.
It was really bad because then if you weren't in extreme crisis, a lot of people, like, your treatment got paused because frontline workers like nurses and doctors and everything really needed that mental health support. So like my therapy got stopped during COVID because I wasn't super crisis, which was I get, but it should never have to be in that position as well. Like that's not exactly as you said. That's not their fault. That is up above the people that are on the ground, and it's just
because I do like we
bad.
will maybe like slag off PT. When you work in the industry, you'll see some PT saying some ridiculous stuff, and you'll be like, "That's fucking so dumb," and like so toxic or whatever. But at the same time, the fact that it is so easy to become a PT means that it is a thing we need. Like we need more PTs. Mm-hmm. Even though it's so hard to make it, it's only so hard to make it because we get given no information about how to run a business.
Oh my God.
That's all it is.
Do you know, see that as well? That's something that I think you don't realise how much you've picked up and you don't realise how much you didn't know until you're a few years down the line. You're like, fuck, I was doing that? Like,
well, I reckon there's 30 people in my PT course and I don't think any of them will be a PT right now. But I had to show a girl how to use the leg press.
Mm-hmm. I get my PT qualification without them ever seeing me do a deadlift or get someone to do a deadlift.
You don't have to show anyone how to do a deadlift. I don't think I could have really deadlifted when I couldn't deadlift. I've seen videos of me deadlift at the time I qualified and I'm like pure springy. My first year of PT and I watched my lifts back and go, oh my God, I needed a personal trainer. What the fuck was I doing? But at the same time, we actually see, even if like me then, I know I got people into the gym then, that's enough. Because there's nothing in between. You're either like, you have to go find a therapist or unless you're like maybe more like whatever the cutoff is, you're not getting weight loss management from the NHS. You're getting absolutely jack shit. So there has to be something that's like accessible. Yeah. And I think the only thing is PTs. Like, if you're struggling with yourself in general, like even if you're just like you don't eat right and you're not looking to lose weight, but you're uncomfortable with yourself, I think PT is like the first thing people go to.
100%, because it is exactly as you said. It's not scary either. Like, it's not as scary for them. There's no as big a barrier. It's not like, I'm going to go to the deepest, darkest bits of myself. Like, this person's just going to help me feel better through doing some simple bits. And that is like...
And when you talk to people, you realise your problem isn't just, like, you need to go to the gym. And, like, also, it can be, like, there's loads we can work on without it being just, literally just, I'm kind of your mate. But we've got that element of, like, you pay me, so it's more of a profession. Like, you'll actually take my advice, whereas some of your mates might actually tell you the same thing.
Oh, I've had,
but you don't
have you ever
take the
PT'd any of your pals or like coached any of your
pals? I don't
pals?
like working with anyone.
I don't like doing it. I have done before, and quite often I become pals with them within that process sort of thing. But if one of my best pals now was like, can you coach me the way I coach people, I couldn't. And it doesn't work at actual Disney. There's no the same buy-in. You don't have the same, like, it's not authority, but influence in that sense. You don't have the same influence.
I wanted to crack my dad the other night.
Of course. Right? What?
To try to explain to him about... And I got... He was actually doing my fucking nothing, by the way. He was annoying me so much.
I love? I'm the one in this room diagnosed ADHD and you're the one. It's like, yeah, I wanted to punch my
No, but
dad.
there was a segue there. I'm talking about families and friends. I segued into that beautifully. Thank you very much. With comedic effect.
I got aggressive smoothly, thank you.
There was method behind it.
Right, you were going to crack your dad, sorry.
Even so, I mean, try to get him. So I got him to lose 5 stone, maybe like 3 years ago. When I went to Australia and came back, he basically just fucking hit the Stella. There was no woman to hit. He's
He
broken
loves
my
the
mum.
Stella, man.
Does he?
Aye, and I'm
You're
like,
right.
I'm watching you.
It's black
I know
eye,
what
I
this
see.
is.
And so I was trying to explain to him to just maybe even come in for here to like for 2 full body sessions a week, just lifting. Why lift? I've done my lifting when I was like 23 or whatever. I don't want to get big. And I was like, I was calm at this point. I was like, I've explained this to you before. It's not for this. I was like, what happened to you 3 years ago? How's your knee fucked? And he was like, I was delivering. He used a derogatory term for Chinese. He's delivering those Chinese food.
Yeah.
And he fell when he was doing it, like over a curb, and he done something to his meniscus, but he also won't go get that checked or whatever. And he's only like 54, and he's not unfit or anything, but he's also got loads of problems with his ankle. He's just getting sore and all of this. And I'm just like, see if we just do 2 full body sessions a week. He's like, but I lift granite worktops, and he is strong up. I know. How dumb is it? It's so dumb. It's so infuriating. It makes me angry.
It's not even that. I thought you said I left gran at work.
Oh, no.
As if like I left plenty. I left your gran. And I was like,
To be fair, it's heavy stone, and he fits it.
same as your gran.
But he just fits my gran into people's kitchens, slides her in.
I left your gran every day, so I'm not at the gym.
But he said, and I was like, maybe you've got some grip strength and you're strong up top. But I was like, you fucking glass ankles, and I was like, see if you just lift a wee bit and get a bit stronger. I was like, see in 10 years time, and he was like, but that would have still happened. And like, statistically, it might not have. And he's like, but it still might have. And I'm like, but it still might not. Why don't you listen to me?
Aye, and
then,
it might not have been so hard to heal.
Aye, and I'm just like, but looking at even if you just done it twice a week, I'm not talking bench pressing, I'm not talking about being Arnold Schwarzenegger, do you know what I mean? I'm talking about just lifting a wee bit. In 10 years' time, you might not need a walking stick. And I was like, cause like that's maybe the way it's gonna go, and I know you will be well annoying if you've got a walking stick, and I won't put up with it. You'll do my fucking nothing. You'll probably hit me with it. I don't want you to have a walking stick. But his brain was not computing it, and that's why he just thought I meant must. And I'm like, okay. I just shut the door. I was like, right, we're not having this conversation again. It's fine. I just thought I would try. You fucking infuriated me. You're so dumb. It's unbelievable. I'm like, I just have to stop.
Aye, it's like the whole like. I feel as though it's the parent generation as well. It's really big on like, no, I don't want to get bulky. And you're like, you will not accidentally get bulky. Like, you know how hard I have tried to get bulky before.
Aye.
We lifted. And
Look at
like,
me. I've been trying for like 4 years now.
I accidentally got so bulky and I can't get it.
I try every day.
It's like, I can't even remember who said it, but it was like being scared to go for a run in case you become like Usain Bolt kind of thing, in case you become so good at it by accident.
Someone said something the other day about that's like being scared to cook your own dinner in case you become a Michelin star chef.
I don't want to become too perfect. I can't do it.
Don't be too good with the garlic powder. Because I refuse to cut garlic.
I'm the same.
Get the powder in, man.
I do the frozen veg. I
garlic.
do the lazy garlic. I'm not pretty men. I hate it.
Well, but so what happens when you've trained? I've got one guy on that I knew from like Asia. That's the closest I've got to like someone I actually know. Because even like someone I've got a girl from school that was a year above me, but I didn't know her in school. That's about the most I would go. I even don't like training people that I know of. I don't really like that either.
I think like I I couldn't take someone on as like a new client who I was quite close to or I knew who, like quite well, unless it was purely for like training kind of thing or like helping with the nutrition. Like I could do that, but the body image work, the food relationship work, the kind of deeper emotion type work I do, like I feel as though there's an element, same as when you go to therapy, even though you know that person, there's that, you've got that wee safe space feeling that you're like, I feel like it blurs the lines a bit too much where they maybe don't share quite as much or they don't feel quite as comfortable sharing quite as much because it's like, oh no, but then I'll see you at the pub later and I've told you all this stuff and it's that feeling. I've even got it like when I've went to like events that some of my clients are at, like I love it and I love seeing them, but I definitely have that wee moment of being like, oh, I need to be in more of a coach mode here, like so I don't blur that and they don't lose the benefit of having that slight wee bit of distance.
I was on the cusp of being too close to Paul to do therapy, but it was when we had, because I would hire that podcast studio out and then he would talk to, like we probably spoke to him for like half an hour after we podcasted. I would do that every single time. Sometimes it would be just me. So I did get to know, like I do know him quite well, but the good thing is not loads of it was about me or him. He would speak a lot about therapy and like maybe who I had on and like
there's
they
still
need
that
therapy.
kind of work.
And sometimes that happened.
Purely
Quite a
trying to
lot.
go on the podcast, it's a surprise thing.
It's we're just trying to evaluate if you need therapy, but you don't know.
James, here's the ADHD checklist. Just for that.
Exactly. James is I think he'll be fine when we saying this. James is going to Paul. He's just started with him. He won't give a fuck about me saying that. I probably shouldn't blurt stuff like that out, but
I think he's quite
he'll
open
be fine.
Anyway,
He'd be fine.
like,
If I had him on this, he would say it. He's going to Paul. I've got like 3 of my mates to go to him, which is good. I know a lot of people. I thought he wouldn't want bombarded because he's busy, but yeah, he's taken on quite a lot of people that I know.
Whenever folk ask me about CBT, I recommend Paul.
I don't even know how much of it was really CBT. He done bits,
so
but
good, man. Like CBT gets such a bad name because when it's delivered poorly at the wrong time, it's awful. So like a lot of people get offered CBT at the wrong time in their life, or they get offered it in a way that's far too set structured. That's like, I know you're going through that, but let's go through this worksheet rather than what do you need right now. So like sometimes it's delivered bad, and folk, I had a terrible opinion of it when I was younger because I had a bad experience. Yeah. And then I told my psychologist that when I started, I was like, I fucking hate CBT. Don't want anything to do with CBT. It doesn't work for me. And he was like, that's fine. And then he used CBT in my
some of it does look quite
saying,
like fucking 7-year-old day, doesn't it?
Sometimes
like the worksheets, it does look quite like.
If it's delivered in the wrong way, it can be really unhelpful. But like CBT is more so about helping you with your own perception of reality as opposed to what's happening. Like your perception of the situation, your response rather than what's happening in that sense. And it's so helpful.
Yeah, I said this to like a few people like, oh, like are you doing so much better since you done therapy? I think I deal with like, but if you took my like just how I was as a person, I don't think it's done anything for me or changed who I am in any way. But I just notice when something happens or whatever, I just don't give a fuck about. Do you know what I mean? I don't really like. I always cause I went mostly for like dating and stuff. I always like. It was dating where I was noticing it. Like if a date was going badly, I used to always go, right, I need to have more chat. I always used to do it as like me, but now I go, their chat shite. But not even like in a bad way of them. It's like me and them
it's
don't go on. I'm like, fuck it, it's just going to be an awkward hour.
We're here now, so.
There was loads I wanted to ask you about that I've not looked at any of this because I was chatting absolute shite. Because
you were leaving my squirrels. Thanks.
See this weather wheel. Can you explain what that is to me and how people can use it? Because you've got loads of see some of these like things that you come up with. Is that like your own spin on like therapy things that you've done?
A lot of them's like actual therapy-informed techniques of some modality kind of thing, whether it's CBT, psychodynamic, person, whatever way.
You just put some spice on it.
I just make it more, because my brain works on analogies. That's how I remember things. That's what works for me, and that's what like a lot of folk. Like you'll probably find that if you explain to an analogy, people get it more than if you just give them the science kind of thing. So like the wheelie emotions is that's a tool that's for everything really. Just because we've never been taught how to name our feelings. And the way I always put it is like when you're in, I don't know if I've said this to you before, when you're in your bed at night and you've got like a jacket hanging in the door. And
we haven't spoke that much, Katie. No, you haven't said this to me.
Shut up. I talk to so many people, okay? So I don't even need to talk to you.
Jacket on the door, right?
Either a jacket on the door.
Right.
And see that way, you know fine, it's not a guy. But you're lying in your bed, you can see the shadow and your brain's like, that's a guy. There's a guy in your room. And you start getting a wee bit anxious and you're like, it's not a guy. But your brain's like, that's a guy. When you turn on the light and you're like, no, it's a jacket, it takes away a lot of the fear and the power of it. That's what it's like, naming your emotions.
Okay.
Like when you are feeling a certain way and you feel so out of control and so overwhelmed, we've got so much evidence that literally just naming your emotion helps bring a lot of that down. And it is like turning the light on and seeing that it's a jacket and not a guy that's broke into your room. It is, you're feeling.
What I'm interested in is, like, talk me through if it happened to you, like, what are you, like, you're actually trying to, like, feel inside you and go, right, does that feel like rain?
Right, right, when I use the weather, so the
because that's weather, what it is in weather wheel.
The weather, pointing this
that's what I wrote down, so.
It's like there's really emotions, but then I talk about the weather for it when I was actually talking to one of my guys about this that I coach yesterday. When you're really struggling to name your feelings because, again, we were never taught how to really name them. It's hard to figure them out. Sometimes, like saying to yourself, "What's the weather like inside?" Then, and like kind of imagining if there was a weather system in me now, what's going on? Like, is it raining? Is it stormy? Is it windy? Is it sunny? And that tends to be much easier to visualise than actually just naming an emotion. And then for there, you can be like, right, well, what might that mean? If it's stormy, what might that mean? And another one's like just trying on the feelings a wee bit. So if you're at that stage and you're like, oh, it's quite stormy, maybe that means I'm angry. Like looking at the types of anger and being like, oh, I'm furious, I'm frustrated. How does that feel? I don't feel that is what I'm feeling. Right, okay, maybe I'm feeling grief. And you can just kind of have a wee pick through them and notice what sits right for you. Yeah. Because like, see that way, you feel that gut feeling of something's a bit off. If you try on a feeling, if you look at the weather inside you and you're like, right, okay, I'm feeling angry, and it's not anger, you feel that, you're like, that's not right.
I get it, right. The purpose of that. No, I do get it. That's what, because I'm just trying to think of times I'd more get maybe stressed, but I don't know what is causing it.
Right, aye.
But I'll write it, or I'll get quite annoyed sometimes. Maybe just if one too many clients just fry my head at the one time, which happens quite a lot. But I never take it out on them. But I'll like just put my laptop down and go. Do you know what I mean? And but I won't know what it is. Yeah. So I'll maybe write stuff down, and it's not always that. It can be other things. It can be like there's a lot of family stuff. My dad's saying he's not going to lift. You know,
really kidding me.
And if I write it down and figure out what it is, but I can't get out it. Do you get what I mean? Do you have? And like I don't know if if getting out of it should be the goal. I'm not sure. I tend to find if I sleep on it, the next morning I wake up and go, why was that bothering me so much? I don't care anymore.
Aye. I think like sometimes it is a case of like this too shall pass and let's just sit in it for a bit and let it be there, because I think that's why the problems that we have is that we try and like shut up any emotion that's not very palatable, but we are designed to experience them all. So it's hard to sit with them, but sometimes that is what we do. But a lot of the time it's also maybe not safe or it's interrupting your day. And when we say we're stressed, that's usually such like an umbrella term for other feelings. And
Yeah,
stress is like,
well, that's why I changed it to anger, because I think
Aye.
it would be I'm more annoyed.
it's more that
I would say
kind of thing.
I'd say annoyed is the main like negative one that I would feel.
Aye.
Just not anger, I would say annoyed is the perfect one.
Is it you? See, when like you're saying like if you sleep on it's better, is it usually at night that you get more like that?
Nah, during the day.
During the day as well.
But it doesn't happen that often. It might happen once a month or once every like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But if I get that day, it might be all day.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll come out in spurts. Like I'll be sitting chatting to Dale, and I'll train, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But then I think it's mostly work.
Mm-hmm.
But it might also not be a client. It might be that I've got too much on at the one time and stuff.
Aye, that's what like a lot of my clients are like teachers, nurseries, really care-based jobs that have like a lot of demand on them and stress like a really big thing we work on. And see when it crops up through the day, we'll maybe like take a wee second, like to just take a wee breath, as stupid as that sounds, take a wee breath and then say to yourself, what story am I telling myself just now? And try and listen to like your brain, what story am I telling myself? Is it I don't have time? Is it that I've got so much to do? Is it that I can't do this? Like what story's there just now? And sometimes just labeling it, we then get to make that choice of, right, okay, that's what it is. It's that I'm rushing, it's that I've got so much on my to-do list, whatever story's there, what do I want to do with that next? Do I want to just let it be and let it pass and get on with what I'm doing? Or do I want to give myself a minute to like meet that need? And what can be dead helpful is like try to think your way out of that is so hard. Yeah. But doing like a kind of body first approach can be really helpful. Yeah. That helps soothe your body a bit, so then she tells your brain, look, nothing dangerous is happening now.
Yeah, I think what I struggle with is trying to try to help too much, and then I take it on, if you know what I mean.
It's the pressure.
It's not even like the one thing a client says to me, it's that I've just took too much on at once, too much of other people's emotions at once. Well, and it can be the tiniest thing that will piss me off, but it's not that thing. It's what I've allowed. That's why I told you, like, I went for a phase where I didn't reply any comments or DMs for like 2 months, because I was like, the clients is enough. Because I even take on fucking random people on Instagram's shit sometimes, and I'm like, that's just who I am. I just I just fucking try to help people, but you end up taking a wee bit of there.
It's like pure empathy fatigue. Like we've all got a capacity, and you will hit the capacity. Term. It's pure like empathy.
Oh man, I'm fatigued on my empathy. Just
Sorry, I'm
too good. I'm human. I've gave it too
much today, so
gave too much away. I need care from me.
But I think that's like, it's such a party when you do this job, because I'm bad for it as well. Like I know my pals are folk who like my pals, people who aren't in coaching. My reply time's fucking terrible, like awful. It's really bad.
My reply time might be non-existent.
Yeah, same with a lot of things. Like I think it's good to have people around you that get it in that sense. Like my pals are really, really understanding that I will miss messages and I will be fatigued.
Voice note ain't happening.
See, I have voice note because I can't be arsed typing.
No, that's but like when my mates do it.
Oh right.
That's a minute and a half long.
Oh right, you would hate talking to my clients, man, because
I don't do voice notes for my clients.
Oh no, we like exclusively do voice notes nearly, and I love a voice note, and it's pure helpful for what we do, because like if they just ramble and let their brain go, I can pick wee bits out of like, right, okay, let's have a wee look at this. And like some of my girls will send me like 20-minute voice notes. Like I could literally open my WhatsApp now, there will be a 20-minute voice note guaranteed, and I love it. You would hate it, but I love it.
That is the absolute fear.
It's my favourite thing in the world. It's so good.
That is actually scary. Do you know why I stopped letting people voice note me? Because I let people do it at the start. One morning I woke up and I had an hour's worth of voice notes. And I went, no, can't do it anymore. I was like, type it. I don't mind the odd one if you really can't explain something, but type it, because it just, I can't concentrate after 5 minutes of someone talking through my phone. Right. Like I've lost my brain's gone. Like, and then I'm just like, oh, I'm out walking the dog. My brain's gone. Aye. I'm away thinking about something else. I can't listen. It's
kind of like me reading big messages often. Like I need to reread big messages, but I can listen to a voice note fine. But that's my mornings.
It's
but
like my workflow. It's more that than anything. Like if I get a big voice note through, it ruins my... And I do a lot more form videos and all that, so I can't do form videos and voice notes. Just can't do it. I can't handle both. Anyway, the next thing I definitely wanted to ask you about is ADHD.
Okay.
When did that get diagnosed?
That was... I don't actually know the year, but it was like through my BPD treatment, there was a lot of traits coming up.
You didn't just join the queue that started in 2023?
No, but I did get put in that queue for meds, and that was like 8 months. I only spoke to my psychiatrist this month to do medication because I was never medicated for ADHD.
What are you medicated for?
Well, this is very ADHD, where I was meant to actually send her my blood pressure and stuff last week to get my meds, and I've not done it. So I need to do that. So I'm not on my meds yet. But like, I never struggled with the symptoms that bad because my BPD was louder. The emotional problems were worse.
This guy was more of an issue.
He was like, he got most attention. So like this one,
he was needy.
Like neglected child. Like ADHD was there, but she didn't really need me.
Okay.
And then as I got better with BPD, all the kind of ADHD traits get more noticeable. And it's more sensory stuff that I've found really, really hard this year. I get very sensory overwhelmed, and that I don't have the time for that to be the case. Like, and my focus going and all that kind of thing when I'm trying to run a business, do my therapist training. There's too many things that I need tuned into.
I definitely feel like it's the most misunderstood thing. And I actually think all of the publicity on it is making it worse. Yeah,
because there's definitely... It can be helpful because it prompts people to be like, oh, I'll look into that. But equally, it can be unhelpful because there's a lot of things that are just
everyone's
normal
like,
people,
it's a spectrum. I'm like, well, then everything's a spectrum. Like a big spectrum. Then you're freaking out about everything. Because I've had quite a lot of people tell me that literally 50%, like 50-50, like from people who don't know me, saying I work with people with ADHD, you have it, and then the like other 50% of people saying, oh, I work with like kids with ADHD, you don't have it. And I'm like, well, then like who knows what? And also none of you have met me.
Aye, exactly.
So how can you know from like videos that I posted?
And it shows up so differently.
And I don't see if I did have it, which I don't think I do. I genuinely don't. Like maybe have a tiny snippet, like, but maybe like quite a lot of people do. Like, because people will be like, oh, what were you like in school? And I was like, I had never done a single thing. I fell asleep in every class, didn't pay attention, put blue tactics on people's desks and stuff. You know, that's
classic trait.
I was on report all the time. Like, I was that kid that had to get every teacher to sign my report because I would be a wee prick.
I thought that was buzzing, sorry.
But I just didn't like school. And like, if you put me in that same scenario, I had to do it again. When I was working in a call centre, they put me in 2 weeks of training. I fell asleep and everything, didn't listen to one single thing. But I can concentrate on what I want to concentrate on. Yeah,
that is like... that definitely is true for me, where I can really, really zone into things that are important and I want to, but I can zone out of things that are also important that I'm not quite as stimulated by. Like... But exactly as you said, that is also human. It is the spectrum of like, there's like a quote unquote normal amount and then an amount that can be obstructive to your life. And that's how like a lot of mental illnesses are. But it definitely is like, I think it's helpful that it's more of a chat because there has been a rise, and I think like lockdown played a big part in that.
Yeah.
But
what I would say is I think I've designed my life in a way that fits around that.
Yeah.
Like I can't do I simply can't do it. I can't be told I need to be there for a certain time, and like I also can't deal with people telling me to do stuff. It's more people telling me to do stuff that I know is pointless.
Yeah. Same.
Like I know that it's not achieving it, but I'm getting paid to do this pointless task.
Yeah.
Or if I know that I can fix it so the task doesn't need to be done. Do you know what I mean? Simple stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or do it all at once so that it's done. And I don't need to pretend the next 7 hours or me still doing this thing I could have done. My brain can't handle that.
Aye. I think that's the thing as well. Like like you're saying, people are really quick to say you've got it, and maybe you do, maybe you don't. Like it's no one else's jurisdiction to know that. But like the world's designed for like a very set brain, and we all have really different brains.
Yeah.
So it's like school, 9-to-5 jobs, that's all designed for a very particular brain that we don't.
And that brain exists. plenty of people have it.
Lots of people love a 95. I'm the exact same as you.
Loads of people couldn't do what me and you do.
No.
Like people, a lot of people aren't jealous of that, and they go, "Well, how the fuck do you sit and like think about work?" But I take it all day long.
Aye, exactly. And that, like the day, for example, I'm very, very back to back. I've got Uni now. I've got calls. I'm going and doing a webinar for James Smith Academy. I've got a class.
You're not on that?
I'm not on it. I'm just doing like a guest webinar, but it's like a back-to-back day. But it's all stuff I really want to do.
Yeah.
So it's like
fine.
Fucking buzzing. I'll do that. But if it was like if I was in an office and it was like here's 4 hours to answer on calls, I couldn't do that. But I can do all these hours of this stuff. I just can't do 4 hours.
Is 80? You know, like BPD. How much these are? They are pure. Like, you reckon pure? Because this is what I'm fascinated by. They're not genetical, are they?
They are. They're genetic, yeah, but it's
BPD
like,
is
genetic.
Is ADHD?
ADHD is genetic as well, but it's like.
But how come like ADHD's rising then?
It's just more. There's more awareness. Yeah, where like it was a lot more that Wayne's bad behaved or
he's a wee
that
prick.
Aye, exactly.
A wee fanny.
You're a wee arsehole. It was more like that. It was the same with like depression, anxiety, like. Schizophrenia, BPD, it's just like that's a moody bastard.
Yeah.
Like there's no, it's just more accepted, still not super accepted, but more accepted and more talked about and more accessible to get diagnosed, although it's not very accessible now, but it was more accessible. Whereas there's a lot of stigma that I think stopped people doing it. Where, like, I know for a fact when I get diagnosed BPD, that sounds like a really scary one, like borderline personality.
Yeah, it's got a scary.
It's got a scary name.
Scary tag.
Aye. So like when I get diagnosed with that, I was like, I don't want to tell anyone. Like folk are going to think I'm mental. And if I knew that was an option.
BPD and bipolar and schizophrenia, just if I think about it, are the ones that you would like.
That people think
probably got the most stigma as well.
Yeah, aye. And BPD especially, there was a lot of denial that it existed for a long time as well. There was a lot of like even professionals that were like, no. That's not a condition, which I didn't know until I got diagnosed. But I never experienced that.
I do think in 20 years, all of these will be like different. Like they might be like branched into all coupled together. Like it's this type of. Do you get what I mean? Because right now I feel like there's 30 different things, and I also feel like some people you might have like 3 or 4 of them. Do you know what I mean?
Rarely do you get one on its own. It's something that's found, and it's hard to then diagnose. Like I know people who have BPD who also suspect ADHD, but they don't get the official diagnosis because there's crossover. So it's like no, because that symptom
symptoms are all
could
vague
be
as
this.
fuck, aren't they?
Yeah, because there is crossovers, especially in women. There's big crossovers, so it's like they
the
don't
ADHD
always
one
get
was like,
diagnosed.
oh, you just need to fill out that 500-word questionnaire.
Some of them can be.
That will not be getting done.
especially private ones. I think it's extortionate, and it really is like fill out this wee questionnaire.
I feel like they're trying to make money off of that.
I do think so. I think there's a lot of
and I
places
feel like
taking advantage of the rise now.
Yeah, whether it's like people are actually posting about it more, or they notice people are posting about it more, but some people are trying to make a lot of money.
Yeah,
and that's what I feel. I was having this conversation because my dad's trying to come off statins,
right?
Because there was a guy who worked for the NHS down south. I'm going to butcher all of this because I can't remember but I ended up stumbling across it like a year ago, but I forgot, and I didn't even really know my dad took statins. I knew he took aspirin and stuff because he had a heart attack like 10 years ago. But that there's been a pure uproar about it, and like people like obviously the pharmaceutical companies are like trying to sue the people that are talking about it. But this was a doctor, he was a cardiologist, and he was like, these are just they are not even doing anything for anyone, and they're also like giving people mad side effects, which every drug sort of does. And I do feel like we're gonna get to that point with a lot of other drugs in other areas as well, because I think see all this rise of mental health issues and stuff like that, there's going to be people that are going to try profit off it.
100%.
And that's what scares me, because I've not done enough research on it, but I get so scared when like I'll have a client and they'll be like, I've been put on, it's sertraline, isn't it? That's
That's an SSRI. It's one of the antidepressants.
Yeah, antidepressant. And I'll be like, what happened? Like, what did they give it for? And they're like, oh, I'm just not, like, I broke up with someone 3 months ago, and I'm not enjoying my job just now, and they've gave me these, and I'm like, oh, but that's something you need, like, that's a life event that you will have to deal with, and like that, everything you're feeling is not like that's like how you should feel. Like after a breakup, you should feel shit, otherwise you're a sociopath.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you should be heartbroken by a breakup with someone you really liked. And like if you never like go through all of that, then what do these drugs, like, it scares me how many people get put on them for like normal things. Like I know there's people in circumstances where it will give them that relief because they are in such a bad place, but I get so scared for people that start going on them when they go through something that like it's a life thing that everybody's going to go through. Like breakups, how many of us are going to go through a breakup? 99%.
Yeah.
Like how many people stay with the first person they ever get with or never get with anyone?
Aye. That, I think like that is exactly as you said, there's obviously nuance and there's different situations, but that is what's scary when it's like I'm very much like pro meds. I think they're necessary, but not always. And I think that's the problem when it's like that's all that's there. Like there's I think, what's her name? Taylor Tomlinson, I think, a comedian. And the way she puts it, she's bipolar, and she puts it as like her medication's like her water wings. She's still doing the swimming, but they just keep her afloat enough. Yeah. And that's what...
But a lot of these things don't teach you how to swim, don't they?
You also need to be swimming in that sense. And it's like, in an ideal world, therapy would be so accessible, where if you're on medication, you are also getting that... Because that's where I get the most benefit, always, with psychological treatment. I go on and off meds, depending on what I need, but I'm never on them permanently, and I'm not as highly dosed as a lot of people with BPD are. I'm not as severe as a lot of people are.
Do you notice things when you come off and come back on and stuff?
Not massively now. I have done, because you can, like, I think something that people get scared is like the side effects. Yeah. And you can go to your doctor and ask to change as well. So if you're not having a good experience, you can change it and absolutely do it, because I got put on, the first antidepressant I get put on pushed me into a manic spell because I didn't have anything stop me going too high. That was stopping me too low. But it was pushing me up really severe, so it made me quite manic. And then another one...
What do you push what up?
My mood. Right. Like, it made it so elated that I went manic, which can be quite delusional. I can have hallucinations. Yeah. I've not had actual mania for, like, 5-6 years, maybe. Something like that. Right. And it pushed me into that when I took them. And then other ones I've just not felt amazing on, but I take fluoxetine every so often, which is... an SSRI, that's an antidepressant, and I take a low dose, and it's just enough to keep me out the lows of BPD that can come for no reason at all. It can just hit, and it's a low dose. I go on them. I don't just take them every so often. It's like I'll take them consistently for a period of time. Yeah. If there's like a reason that my BPD is like extra triggered, but I'm still doing all the things that support that. I'm still using my tools. I'm still doing my emotional regulation. I'm still looking after myself. Like I'll go to therapy.
You're like most people won't be like that, if you know what I mean. As in have the knowledge and the support. You've got way more support by the sounds of it.
That's where I
to be able to afford the support,
lucky, I got super lucky, because I know a lot of people have awful experiences when they wait for treatment with NHS. I got really lucky. I got a phenomenal psychologist. He absolutely saved my life. Like, he's absolutely incredible. One of my past clients works with him now, and I was like, I can't tell you how excited I am for that, because he's going to change your life. Like, he's incredible. And that, I was very fortunate with that, really fortunate with that. So that put me in the position
I'm in. What did he mainly help you with? So it's not CBT, so like a psychologist, what are they?
He's a clinical psychologist, so like he's the big guns, because I was so fucked kind of thing. But it was like a combination.
The big boss. Can you deal with this?
Like, need to go right upstairs for this.
She comes out of a cage.
Tied to the chair. But he used like a combination of techniques. That's how like my diploma's integrative therapy. So it's like CBT, psychodynamic, person-centered, because he used a collection of stuff. He was very much like, I was being clinically treated for a clinical mental illness. So he used a lot of different techniques that I needed week to week kind of thing. So it was mostly emotional regulation that I really had to work on, because BPD is like emotions on steroids, so really intense emotions. And
would you
very
say
unstable.
that's what it's like? You just feel every emotion more than.
Yeah,
and you've obviously got the manic episodes, but would you say that's the main thing?
That's
it's
the
like,
main thing, and the instability of it. Like I was flipping like 30 times a day between all different moods. Like my mood diaries were like 30 times average, and like if I got sad,
so if you had a mood ring on, it would just fucking melt.
I was like, I wouldn't get sad.
I'd burn my fucking hand. Fuck this fucking ring.
I have like 7 mood rings just in case. One for each of us.
A little one in my ear just in case. I need to look in the mirror for that one.
One of them's a different colour. You're like, oh, Jason's upset. The rest of us are fine though.
Fucking hell.
But I wouldn't get sad. I'd get suicidal. I wouldn't get happy. I'd get manic.
Right.
So it was like really extreme. And there was a lot of like schema therapies, CBT based, and that's like your core beliefs. And I had a lot of really ingrained, like tough core beliefs that were really, really holding me back. Like, so that was a lot of what we worked on as well, like kind of trauma based stuff. And then
is that from childhood?
Emotional. Yeah.
That's why I always get confused of what's genetical and what's nice. Good stuff.
Thanks.
All down you.
I meant it.
That's why I always get confused, because there's a guy. Have you seen Gavin Matty?
I don't think so.
You would really like him. He's been on Diary of a CEO and Joe Rogan, 2 podcasts I don't really enjoy listening to, but unfortunately they're the only people that get these people on. He's good on Joe Rogan. Stephen Bartlett I find very difficult.
I find his podcast difficult. I like Joe Rogan. And
Joe Rogan, even if I don't, sometimes he says stuff, I'm like, shut up, man.
It's
but
such a big influence platform both of them have got, and they get people on who shouldn't be talking about what they're talking about. They say completely incorrect things that sound right, so people believe it, and they make lots of money off it, and it brings a lot of people harm.
Stephen Bartlett's thumbnails make me want to rip my hair out.
Yeah.
Calories don't exist, and then the next one will be like, fucking,
every time an episode
you don't have ADHD. Do you know what I mean? It's like something ridiculous as the thumbnail.
You'll probably get it and all. Like, every time he has a podcast out and it's someone to do with nutrition,
awful.
My question box is full of Stephen Bartlett like podcast questions, because it's like,
and he doesn't give a fuck, which is mental, because he's had like James Smith and all that on.
Aye.
And like, I don't think he believes what they're saying, but he's profiting off their clickbait. Did you see the woman saying something about testosterone? Did you see that one?
I stopped looking at them because I was
oh my god. She said something about fasting and
someone sent me that and
increases your testosterone by like something ridiculous, like 33 times.
Aye.
I'm like, you fucking die or something. I don't know what happens if my testosterone had increased 33%, but I would be locking myself in a cupboard because fucking he's spunking everywhere probably. Just be in the weight section fucking like that.
Just fucking rattling.
It's fucking one bicep curl and one whacking me off constantly. 33%.
Just raging at everything.
Just fucking so horny. 33%. But that'll be the thumbnail of it. It's mental.
Aye.
And he doesn't give. It looks like he doesn't give a fuck.
It's not ethical, man. It's a lot of it. He's getting investments in as well, and like
healing that.
Aye. So then he is really like, oh my god, this is amazing. You should all be doing this, and it's taking so much money for people, possibly doing them harm and doing them absolutely no benefit. And it's like, but it sounds smart enough to be true.
Someone had a thesis. This isn't about Stephen Bartlett, but they had a pretty good thesis, and I do potentially agree with them. Anyone that's like a multi-millionaire, like not like 10 million, like fucking really, or a billionaire, they're a paedophile. And
I think that's where that was going there.
And I could potentially agree.
It's so straight.
What? But what drives you to want to make that amount of money?
Like, what drives you to be a paedophile? Let's unpack that.
I should go see Paul again.
Paul making pedo jokes again.
Paul, it's coming back. So stuff's coming
Talk
back.
about nonsense again, Paul. If you get
It's
Wednesday
just
free.
fucking common theme. Comes back every 3 months. We need to work on it. But I just don't
mean
understand.
nonsense,
The
that.
guy sold a business for like £1 billion or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he need this podcast with all these people saying these ridiculous stuff purely to get more views?
Aye.
What's the need?
Aye, what's it feeding? Kind of
Aye,
thing,
what?
Yeah.
And that's all he's talking about. Was all in my childhood, and I've been working on all this stuff. Why are you still doing it then?
Yeah.
Why are you still doing all this mad stuff? Telling people.
I know. That is like, I try and look at things through the lens of like, quite often people are also victims of misinformation, but at the same time, when you've got a podcast with that big an influence, you've got such a responsibility
Yeah.
to get it right, or at least not get it entirely wrong in that sense.
Yeah, there's a limit because
like
there's a
that.
limit of like what I'm willing to like change my opinion on
Mhm.
because it might offend someone or whatever. There's an absolute limit. If you don't like pedo jokes, I don't care. I'm going to continue to do them.
Paul
But
can't stop me.
aye, nobody can stop the nonce jokes.
That's where I thought Dale was going earlier when he was talking about their house being at a school.
Oh, aye. Well, I was
So we lived next to
concerning.
a school, and I was like, oh, what's
That was about your brother. That would
it
be
was
concerning.
about my brother. My brother's
Um,
half his nut, so fair.
Aye, but there was a reason I was going into that. But so I'll join that queue. Don't worry. Gavin and Matty was saying about. So he was a doctor. He's so good, by the way. You should watch the Joe Rogan one. Was really good. It might be quite old. It might be like a year or two. It was Paul that told me to watch it. But he's like just so knowledgeable about trauma, and he also speaking about how he had so many addictions and they would feed each other. So he became a workaholic and it fed his shopping addiction because he could justify them so much and they all fed into each other. And he was a doctor as well, but he was saying that he thinks don't know, again, I'm speculating, I'm just saying what he said. He says rheumatoid arthritis is a trauma response.
It can be, yeah.
So it's just
I
when
say that as if I know better than him. Yeah,
Aye.
I'll let him off with that.
he's right, you know.
Chronic illness can come from chronic stress caused by trauma and all sorts. Aye.
So it just makes me think which mental illnesses are caused by trauma and stuff as well.
It took us a while to get back to there.
Right,
Sorry, I'll let you.
few wee jokes in there. Few wee tangents.
I think the thing is, like, there's genetic predisposition, and then there's lifestyle factors of like. So like mine, I was genetically predisposed already. We've got quite a lot of spice in my family bloodline. And
Does
then-
everyone know I know what you mean by spice, but
No, right. So
'Cause
someone asked me this, and I was like, no, I've been saying that for so long, and that's just ruined my day. Because I say like spicy brain, 'cause I think it sounds better than saying, oh, I'm mental. And they were like, oh, I thought you meant like horny when you said that. And I was like, do you think that my Insta bio is I help horny people heal their relationship with their body? Like, because it says spicy brains, and I'm like, oh no. When I say spicy, I just mean there's something a bit spicy in your brain in terms of like a mental illness.
like,
So
hot.
a wee something,
Aye,
just a wee oomph,
a bit of chili.
Aye, just mix it up a bit. So that my brain's very just full of everything. And so I was already predisposed, and then it was like lifestyle type things, and not lifestyle, like trauma type things, and like situations that then intensify it in that sense. So if I never had all the things that I had, then it maybe wouldn't have became quite as big in my life. It maybe wouldn't have been quite as intense, but it would probably be there, is what they kind of come up with, because it is quite, like, it's quite intense in my family kind of thing.
Yeah. Because I just base it off of my own experiences. I think I said this before. I was always the smartest in my class until I got to like 9 or 10. And then I became, like I explained. But I always remember being, my friends will slag me when I say, or even people went to primary with me, but they won't remember me when I was like 5, 6 and 7. I just always remember the teachers always praising me and like how smart I was. And like, it'd be me and this other guy called Adam. We were always like fucking having smart offs.
I had a rivalry. I had one of them in like English, because I was so good at English.
Like maths and all that, and then he'd fucking get me on something else. Like, you fucking prick in the leather, you.
Fighting about
then
your
like I
maths
got to
scores.
like 9 or 10, and I couldn't concentrate, and I was like a wee shithead or whatever. But that's when I remember my mum starting to like be a bit,
Yeah.
That's when I remember things that like specific. I remember the age, like what the specific memories I was getting that was making me go to therapy, and like that's what age I was. And I was like, that wasn't the only thing that was happening.
Yeah.
So I'm like having my brain pretty cooked in the house. I was like, that's like I'm always. I don't know if I should piece them together, but I do. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was about like I feel like they are directly related. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know the exact behind it or close to it or anything, but I definitely, in my opinion, think that your experiences forge you a whole lot more than your genetics do. Like,
Yeah,
because like genetically, my brain, like your lobes are slightly different in your brain when you've got like BPD and certain other mental illnesses. So like I was always going to struggle to regulate my emotions naturally more than other people. Like that was already there, but it wouldn't have been quite as intense if it wasn't for different things that happened that then caused me to create these like beliefs and behaviours that then made it worse. And
have you ever
all
seen
kind
that
of thing.
Twins and Triplets documentary where they get split up?
See, I get so bored trying to watch that, but I don't.
Did you?
But I don't think I paid attention enough.
It was good, but I can't really remember what the whole point
You didn't
of
pay
it was.
attention either.
Aye.
Bringing up a documentary that none of us paid attention.
That is good.
Did you watch that? No, me neither.
I can't remember the full point of it. I just remember being, that's mad. That's mental.
Probably to do with the fact they've all got the same genetics, they're that close, but they live different lives, and then look how different their outcomes are.
Yeah, but it also wasn't like what we were saying. It was more your circumstances. The way that panned out, they both, one of them had a pretty good upbringing and still became suicidal, I think. So it would actually like be more, it would be more skewed, if you think, not as simple as one's more thing.
One's more influential.
Which would go against what I was just saying, if you know what I mean. So it's hard to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to, because I was just genuinely interested, how productive do you think, because you were talking about productivity, and this is something I'm talking about to not my clients, anyone that's a PT, because I think we all fall into this trap of thinking everyone's doing better than us.
Yeah.
I have everyone muted on my Instagram.
Yeah,
I still
mute people
watch
all the
stories and stuff. Not everyone. It worked really well at the start, but now my brain has figured out so many ways to like, I literally type in without thinking about it someone who I sometimes watch.
Yeah.
Or like I'll type in my mates just to see what their last reel was or whatever. But I also watch people's stories from them watching mine if they've got the red ring. So I end up watching stories. I'm just doing it in a different way because it doesn't fully get them away. But I notice what I've done for the last 3 months, right? While working in here, I've actually stopped trying to be productive and just doing the main things. So see, I watch Scotland highlights all the time, and like I'm actually like don't stop myself doing it as long as I get the main task done. Also, I've stopped like trying to get it done by a certain time so that I can switch off, because what I found was even if I was clocking off at 5 or 6 o'clock and I got all of this stuff done, I was absolutely fucked by the end of the day, even if I clocked off. And see, if I try be more productive and get more done, I burn out just quicker.
Aye.
It's like I've only got like a shit amount of stuff I can do, and if I go above it, no matter how I do it, whether it's working later or doing it all dead fast without any procrastination, I burn out so easy.
Yeah, that's something I try and be very aware of myself. I don't always get it right, but like I have clinically burnt out before, and like it's fucking hot. You can't do anything when you do it.
Well,
so
see, when you say clinically, tell me what that is, because I burnt out bad in March and it was awful.
Aye, it's kind of hard to explain. It feels like depression, in all honesty. It feels like a deep depression, but it feels very physical as well.
I felt
and it's like you've no cognitive ability.
I felt low mood, and I felt cloudy in my brain.
Aye.
Like really badly. I had zero ability to do any sort of creative work. I could still podcast because I just ranted about that. But I couldn't switch the camera on. So I had one of them where I was podcasting, the camera was on, and I went, this is audio only. I can't even like look at that as well.
Aye.
And I just didn't want, my mates were trying to get me to do stuff, and I just didn't want to do it. But I was like, see if they talked to me, I was still fine. It was just weird. It was like anything to other than getting off the couch and like going and doing something. I just didn't want to do it.
That's what it can feel like, kind of thing. It is
probably,
like
I think I probably did.
Probably it is like
because I worked like
shutdown.
Fuck January and February.
It is like a shutdown, and that's what like see what you were saying about when you're chasing productivity. That is the trap everybody's in now. I think especially with the way social media is, where everyone's like, look at my car, look at my house, and you only ever see what people show, obviously. But it makes you like, I need to do better, I need to do more. And you're always pushing to do more, and you end up doing less because you burn out or you don't have the capacity to do it.
Yeah.
I kind of like ride my waves through the day. So like, I feel really focused in the morning. I'll get a lot done in the morning. I make myself take a slow morning, like just for like half an hour before I do anything else.
I take an hour and a half to do it, or 2 hours to do work.
See, I go slow, and then I'm still slow, but not super slow, because I'll listen to voice notes while I'm doing like skincare and stuff. But my first half hour's like no phone, nothing, chill out, let my brain settle that she's awake. But then I'll have like dips through the day where I can't focus, and I'm like, cool, rather than try to force that, I'll go a walk, or I'll do something that I can focus on, like I'll switch task, and that helps me with it. But I absolutely still do get to points of being like, I'm fucked. Like it's...
If I force productivity, it just comes back to bite me.
Yeah, I always put it as like, if you were running, or like, do you ever seen Cars the movie?
I will not remember a single thing.
Fine, I'll just say NASCAR then, but Cars the movie's better, and I prefer it. But see, like when they're going round the actual track and they stop for their pit stops, it's like, if you stop for your pit stop, you're having to stop for a minute, if even, to get your tyres changed and all that kind of thing, and then you can go again. And if you don't stop for your pit stop and you keep going, you'll get a wee bit further at first, but you will run out of fuel. Your tyres will burst. So like you do need to stop and embrace not being productive if you ever want to be productive in that sense.
I think all I'm getting better at doing every year is knowing when that feeling's coming and not ignoring it. I'm not getting any more productive. I'm getting better at my job just because I'm doing it. So I might be more productive because I've done it a million times and it might take me a tiny bit less time. That's the only productivity I'm getting. I tried that, what is it, Pomodoro effect? Have you seen that? You do 25 minutes of work, then 5 minutes of rest, and it's a timer. I fucking hated it.
I don't like that either.
I don't
like having a timer on me, or else
all of this
I'll just
shit.
think about the timer.
I fucking hate all of this like productivity hacks and this and that. I fucking hate all of it. I do like try get all my every like few months now. I've started like going, right, what takes me too long, because that stops me from getting overwhelmed. If I fix all the like, right, 30 clients have wanted this every month and I keep filming one video for it, just do one video and that helps me. Stupid stuff like that. But like actually try to be productive just burns me out.
That, like, do you know what the thing is as well, and this is something that is true for a lot of my clients and we work on, is that you can feel pretty addicted to productivity. Like, either it's the dopamine rush of it, or it's the sense of worth that we get for it. Like,
it's that.
We feel pretty addicted to it, and when someone's been doing that for so long, resting can actually feel unsafe in our bodies, so then we get really stressed that we're still. So it's like, what we kind of meet that way is like to help soothe you out of in this productivity cycle, and this addiction of it kind of thing, get you to rest without that panic that we feel when we're resting, is playful rest. So going and doing something that is just nothing to do with being productive, just something that's fun, like playing games or making something or watching like a program that you don't learn anything from, like reading fiction, something that is just playful and enjoyable and there's no productivity goal on it. And that way you're still doing something so it doesn't feel quite as panicky, because our stress system can get up when we've spent so long being productive and then suddenly we're not. We're still doing something so we don't get that stressy panic, but we're not engaging in this productivity trap, so it helps soothe us out of it.
You might like this. I've got a new thing with my clients called Fuck All Days.
Love.
And I've been getting them to schedule them in. Not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone needs it. Like, not everyone does this, but maybe like 25% do it. I'd say I've noticed, see, coming from Australia to here, it's way more rife here. And I don't, it's probably literally politics that causes that. Like, you can live on a better wage. Like, you've got more, living expenses to wages. There's a bigger gap over there. So I think literally just that smaller gaps means we need to be more productive, or like we're to like fucking survive. Yeah. Fucking Tories.
Yeah.
So I found it quite rife here, and then I know it is because I fall into it as soon as I come back. Like, I see it straight away. Yeah. So I've been getting them to if there's like, say I've got 10 clients that are like that, I'll literally get them to look at that, because I'll be like, right, what are you doing this weekend? It's like this, and this, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of things. And even if it's not just all work things, it's like, taking the kids here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And they're like, I feel shit. And I'm like, you're burning out. Like, I can see it. That's what's happening. So don't, because you need to be very quick with people who would be like, this isn't losing motivation, or you're not up for it, or
you need to push through.
Yeah, you need to push through, or you've not got willpower or any of that. This is you're burning out.
Your brain saying, I need to
and burnout isn't just work and like working out.
It's life.
It's life. Like, you can life burn out. So I've been getting them with like 2 weeks. Look in your diary for the next 2 or 3 weeks. When have you not got stuff on? They're like Saturday. And you're like, right, and they're like, oh, I was going to book this. And I'm like, I don't. I don't. I was going to book this. I want to do this. And I'm like, I don't.
All right, cool. Don't do it.
I don't. Or I need to do it. No, you don't. No, you don't. I need to clean the house, but you don't.
You don't need to do it that day.
So I say to them pretty much what you say. I'm not saying, because I can't sit in the house and just watch Netflix. That would actually be,
drives me mental.
Would worse for me.
Yeah.
Be more stressed doing that. But go for a walk and a coffee, take the dog a walk, not a hike, not in physically exerting.
Not in, it's like, I'm going to run 5k, I'm going to do that. Just literally go and enjoy doing the thing with no other productivity.
And like, just anything that's not physically or mentally exerting. It doesn't take a lot of organising, doesn't take you going and picking people up and relying on anyone else to do anything. Yeah. Just something really fucking, go for ice cream. Go walk, have the ice cream, watch your favourite film at night, do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. I know this is a long way around getting self-care, but I would more describe it as avoiding burnout.
100%. It's preventative rather than wait until there's a big problem, then being like, oh, let's get us out of that. It's being like, have your pit stop. Like, we talk about that, like me and my clients, about how there's always this drive to grow, like whatever growing beings we're designed to be, we're always developing and doing the next thing. We've always got goals, and we miss just being all the time. Like, we forget to just be without trying to push for more. And we'll have a few days where you just be. Like, just be. You're not trying to push for anything, you're not trying to do anything. And it's like that, it's like a pit stop kind of thing, because your body and brain needs to recharge their resources. Or
what was it you called it? Like, what you do with them?
Playful rest.
That was it.
Or just being. It's Nicola Hobbs is really, really good for a lot of research into that kind of thing. That's where I learned about playful rest. About just letting yourself slow down in a world that's so fast kind of thing.
Even just like the last, was it Sunday there? I came into work last Monday and I was like, oh, I'm there, and I've got I think the Monday I worked to 2 and I sacked it off because I just was fucking, and then I done Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but I was like maybe 50% as usual productive wise. I was still in here all the time, but I don't count chatting to Dale as like work. Do you know what I mean? Like as in I'm just chilling when I'm here. Because in the house, when I'm in the house, I feel like I should be working anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do me any better to be in the house. And then I got to Friday, sacked it off, had ice cream. Saturday, watched loads of football. And then Sunday, I done literally like very, very little. And Monday, I felt absolutely fantastic. Whereas before, I'd have pushed myself. And then that Monday, I would have been done.
Aye. I think, see, especially like when you look at PTs, coaches, like our kind of industry, that's where folk go wrong, is they think like, oh, I need to practice what I preach, in terms of I need to always be on it and push through, and as if that...
Dale does 2 workouts a week.
Ah, he's wild. Oh, I thought you said 2 a day there, and I was like, what?
No,
That's wild.
I know he's built as fuck, but he does 2 a week.
2 full bodies, and I'm happy.
Once you've been going to the gym for like 4 or 5 years, you can get away on 2 a week. And
depending on what you want for it.
What's the point?
Yeah, you don't need to be pure dying off, but like, that's what, because I coach other coaches and PTs as well, because we're in an industry where there's so much focus in your body and food, and a lot of people struggle with that as well. So a lot of mine are like coaches, and that's what I say to them all the time when they're really struggling, is that I'll make a point, see if I'm having a tough day and I need to take some time off, I'll post it in my client group that like, my brain's needing a wee shutdown.
I've done that.
You're not helping anyone by kidding on you're a superhuman and being like, yous need to rest, but I never do, I'm perfect. Like, I keep going. You're helping nobody.
And see, when
Whereas being like, I need to chill out, my brain's fried, that helps them be like, oh, that's okay for me to chill out when my brain's fried.
And also, if you tell them, they're always fine with it. See, if you don't reply to them, and like you've been gone incognito for like 2 days, obviously they're going to be like, why the fuck is he not replying to me? But see, if you tell them, here, I'm a wee bit fucked, they're so fine.
Yeah.
They're always so fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, well, end it there. I'll just put all your stuff in the description. You don't need to fucking shout out your shit and all that. It's fine. I'm sure there'll be a few clips from that. Last time you were on that fucking clip, that I had a clip that went viral, mind? That
we could talk about the Queen.
Oh, fuck.
So many folk are
clip
so
up that.
furious at you.
The mood rings.
Wearing a mood ring for each person in my head, see how each of them are.
We'll go speak to your boyfriend.
I will not. Kidding on. I'm acting out.
Cheers.